way to get more control of the Haldex unit, i.e. Control power to the rear and get visibility to how power is shifting to the different wheels.
Haldex
The Haldex doesn't really do that.
Yeah, the Haldex is an interesting thing that some people have a tough time getting their head around. All it's doing is controlling the amount of clamping to a clutch pack in the rear diff.
Right.
There's no front back transfer per se. It allows you to add power to the rear wheels, and that's it.
So just to add to that real quick, a Haldex is a front wheel drive transmission with an output to basically a clutch pack, which turns power on and off to the rear diff.
Yep.
The Haldex unit and that center diff do not control how much power. It can control how much power goes to the rear, up to 50% of the power. Half the power, or up to 100%, down to 50% of the power, is always going to go to the front. So at some point, when it's really locked, it's an even 50-50 split between the front and rear diff. So it's not like a Quattro Quattro Torsen. So all of the engine's power goes into the Torsen, and then the Torsen sends power to the front or rear up to 80%, 60-40,
depending on the modded.
You can mod it really easily to get up to 80% of the power going to the front or the rear. The Haldex cannot do that.
Right.
The Haldex is always sending 100% to the front, and it can send an additional.
Well, your power gets divided if you've.
But it's either 100% in the front down to 50% because half the power is being sent. But it's never more than a 50-50 split. So that is advantage to the Torsen, and that's why when you might have heard people talk about real Quattro and how Haldex isn't real Quattro. That's what they're
different approaches to the same problem.
Haldex is awesome. It works great. You can build a very fast car with Haldex. There are advantages to the Torsen. Certainly, if you're in a corner and your rear tires have 80% more traction, then you can send almost all the power back there and get more acceleration.
Yep.
The Haldex just can't send that much back.
But the flip side of that, if you lift a wheel in a Torsen, all your power is going to go there because it's a percentage thing. So, and the Haldex will always be sending more to the rear in that case. So it's, they've all got their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the manipulation of the Haldex controller, again, that's another thing. It's on our radar. We can flash them. It's just a matter of getting it through
the only thing we can manipulate is how quickly the diff locks to full from none.
A little bit. There's some other considerations. You can change some of the pressure curves in it. There's some hardware limitations in it as well as to what it can do. But
so you could actually.
We can send more power, more pressure to the clutch plates on different conditions, but
to lock it sooner or to just
more overall torque holding. But again,
so it couldn't slip.
Right.
But as far as the actual driving dynamic,
it's not going to change much. Yeah.
So the Gen 1 Haldexes were pretty bad. Like you could dump the clutch in a really powerful 180, and you'd see the front wheels spin for way too long before the rears would hook up. That dynamic is basically gone with the new gen.
Yeah, because those relied on difference between the front and rear wheels to work. They needed the fronts to spin some before the rears could even build pressure. That's all changed now on the current stuff. It's all got an electronic pump back there, and it manages all that on its own.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot more control over it. But there's only so much you can do with just a clutch plate.
Definitely something we're going to do more in the future, but no ETAs. I wouldn't even watch TikTok for that. You'd be watching a lot of TikTok by the time that happens.